And we continue this afternoon honoring the 4 law enforcement agents who lost their lives 1 year ago today. And when tragedy strikes, the public looks for strong leaders. But even the strongest of us can't escape feeling of loss. Well, I sat down with Charlotte Mayor Vi Lyles as she reflects back on the Shannon Park shooting.
South Park.
The sirens were going and going and going, and that's when I began to know and realize this was going to be a tragedy. This was going to be something that would perhaps not define us forever, but would definitely define us on the national level.
They knew that they had officers that needed help, that needed to be extracted from that location.
They need armor in the backyard, a lot of armor in the backyard.
And having to take an officer to one of the hospitals and the way that they were cared for, I felt like the hospital staff was more engaged than I'd have ever seen. And I recall the idea of when we found that some did not make it, and the entire hospital staff stood along the wall while that person was being carried out for his burial. Before the end of the time at the hospital, the governor had come, the legislative group had just come in. I remember Senator Berger standing and watching, and it was all about just the quietness that we had to have so that the families could come in and have the opportunity to speak with the doctors that were caring for them, the nurses to care for them, and then have to make these very difficult decisions. It was a very long day, but it was a day that I am proud of.
How did you at that point say, you know what, being the leader, being the mayor of the city, I have to have some words?
I probably need to take a deep breath on this.
I do
one.
too.
Well, we were standing in a parking lot, actually, and we had people that had found what had happened. The neighborhood, the people that were living there, they were all with us, but they didn't know how difficult this would be. But what my thought is that we have to understand that everyone has the opportunity to do something good, and we were going to take that opportunity to do something good for those officers.
I may not be able to get through this, but I want to try. He is and always will be my very best friend.
I said, there's no playbook for this. There's no instructions to the police chiefs to say, how do you deal with the deaths of 4 heroes?
When you think about those that came and walked from the police department over to the church, that they were carrying that black stretch over their badges, and they knew the families were in front of them, but we had the opportunity to show those families that everyone that was in this community was caring for them. I remember the Ayers little kid, coming down with the car, and trying to keep him in his off. I remember his mother-in-law just bawling. And it was just very tough. But I think that at the end of the day, we wrapped our arms around them at that service. We told the truth about what happened, and we accepted the importance of people coming to us and saying, we understand, we get it, we know what happened.
4 officers who were killed: Officer Joshua Ayer, CMPD; Samuel Pelosi, North Carolina Department of Adult Corrections. He was the member of the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force. William Elliott of the North Carolina Department of Adult Corrections. He was a member of the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force. and Deputy U.S. Marshal Thomas M. Weeks, Jr. He was assigned to the Western District of North Carolina. And now that it's been a year, it's almost like their memories are etched in everybody's hearts here in the Charlotte area. Any thoughts, just of reflection?
So I just remember all of those spouses and how much they had to go through and how difficult it was. But what I hope that, sometimes they say, the sun comes up in the morning, and that my prayer and hope is that when that sun comes up in the morning with those households, that they see that people cared and love them, and that they're going to be cared for as long as we possibly can do to make it sure that what happens with this is a way that we can understand that people sacrifice for us.